going to go ahead to start. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to it. You are on Front Runner. It is Monday, the 8th of November, and it's the weekend that saw the derby transpire, and of course also saw Mamelodi Sundowns put a further grip on that position at the top of the table. As usual, I have a panel. We have a first timer this evening, but before I introduce him, let me introduce a guy you guys are used to already in Kelvin Sosibo joining us. Nice, Kelvin. Well lit, hey? That's you're looking healthy, you're looking good. And then for the first time joining us this evening, we have Obina Okifo, who's going to be joining us to discuss the weekend that was. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us, Obina.
Thank you very much.
Cool, gents. All right, let's start with the big game at the weekend, of course. The Soweto derby, one that ended in victory for Kaizer Chiefs and sees them just go above Orlando Pirates as far as that league table is concerned. Both 10 matches played, but only a point separating them. Kelvin, your thoughts on the derby?
Yeah, a wonderful match. It's just that it was missing the spectators, maybe to put that extra effort and extra oomph from the players. But overall, it was a game that was played beyond tactics, which I felt that with the application of Orlando Pirates coming with a 4-2, with the 4-4-2, meaning that they wanted to have two strikers up, meaning that they want to have more width play and dominate on the wider side with their speed, with Hoto, also with Makarenge coming on later into the box. But with Chiefs setting up in a 4-3-3, you always expect that from them because they want to play on a transition, which is their quick counter-attack, which I felt that they mastered it in some instances. They played in phases, but they got the grip of it, which led them to the goals that they've scored. With Pirates, I would have felt that they would have dealt with the situation much better. They tried by having two strikers just to disturb, to stay with two center backs and not allowing more in terms of Chiefs gaining more access into their, having more passing lanes. But with Pirates not being able to deal with the counter press from Chiefs when they lose the ball, it kept them at bay and not allow them to move more forward. For me, I felt that if Pirates would have understood that if they arrange their rest defense well, meaning that they know their players that are playing for Orlando Pirates defense, where the counter-attack will go and where the ball would land, and if they would pick that up and have a higher line in terms of pressing Chiefs, chances are they might have not been able to find the players on the wider spaces and behind them. So I think going back to the drawing board for Orlando Pirates, it's just that they need to sharpen on those poor mistakes that are made by high professionals at the back, which cost us the team. And I think they're looking into it in terms of how they get that relationship going. With the absence of Epigele, left a big hole, and which now unmasked one of the defenders to be on the talking point again. So yeah, I think it was a fair game, and with Chiefs coming in with more bruised and Pirates with more confidence since they won the last game, I think Chiefs took it to a gear up and made sure that they leveled their playing field.
I mean, Obina, with Chiefs, of course, being the victors, the spotlight might fall on Pirates a little bit. What do you make of your countryman Nda and his partnership, at least at the weekend anyway, with Tyson? Do you think there's something there? Do you think they can rely on each other? Obviously, Nda's mistake led to the penalty that won the game for Chiefs. But I think overall, we can agree he's been solid. What have you made of the defensive evolution that's happening there at Pirates?
Look, let me start with Nda. I think he's a player I watched very closely when I was back home this season. The season that was just concluded back home. I was with Kano Pillars and he was with Aqua. They won the league. And we played against them. I was really, really impressed. I saw a very quality defender, very confidence in his play, understands what his role is as a center back. You know, I believe after the game, I went to him, I congratulated him, I collected his number. I wanted to move him from Aqua. I wanted to bring him to Canopilas because of what I saw. Watching him yesterday, I think also not only yesterday, in the previous games, and I also spoke to the coach. the coach, I think the whole team has been behind him. He's been solid on the team. But yes, you will have one of those days where his mistake cost the team, and again, they I think in that game yesterday, they were the best team. For me, they were better than Chiefs, in their transition play, everything. But then the two center backs with Tyson also giving a back pass, honestly, it was something that is hard done, to all of them. But then I just believe they're building something. If really they could get their hands on it, but I believe these two center back, they're very good players. Tyson has been solid also, but yes, he's sometimes prone to mistakes, and these are something you cannot take away from players. But if it continues, if it's something that is done continuously, then we need to blame it on maybe confidence. We look at the confidence of the player and to understand, maybe also the big team syndrome is catching up upon him. These are things we need to look at. But I believe overall they could make a very good partnership, because looking at them yesterday, I think there is something very good I saw with them.
There we go. Sorry, technical error there. I hear you completely on that one. And then, of course, now will come the question, Kelvin, who do you then put with Tyson? Now that you're going to have the suspension, obviously, of Nda, and we don't know how far happy he is from coming back, but how do you now see them addressing that issue as far as the heart of the defense is concerned at Orlando Pirates?
I think for Fadlu, he have worked with one player that I'm going to mention that's going to be a good pairing. Hard worker, still has the energy, does far much better than the player that is going to be partnered with. I think having Kwanda Mgonyama on the center back position, I think that will give Pirates a confidence booster. Good pass off the ball, breaks down attacks, very good on assessing situation, knows when to press, when not to press, commands the defense. And I think he's signed there because he was a player that was deemed to come in and try and solve the situation that is happening at Pirates. And I think that's the man that needs to be given a chance. In the games that he has played, he hasn't disappointed in any way. For me, I think he's played his top game in Orlando Pirates gear. As soon as he was given the jersey, he was one of the players that I felt that the relationship with him when Happy Jelly got injured, I felt when he came on for Happy Jelly with Nda, I think that was solid. And I thought that was a time where people were going to start moving away from the case of Tyson, maybe have a little bit of a break and recoup and start assessing, watching the game from the outside and learn from this youngster, because I feel that this is one of the players that has came into Orlando Pirates with the intention that he wants to make his name. He wants to cement his position. Every time when I don't see him in the lineup, I always feel that maybe the coach is trying to playing it a little bit cautious in terms of not throwing him in there. But I think he's brave. He's been tested. He's been around. He has played. He performs very well. I think he should be given a green light to start. At least maybe give him 3 or 4 games or 5 games. At this point, I say Orlando Pirates do have the luxury to do that because they're having a crisis at the back. So having a crisis and you find somebody that is doing the job, why not put that player?
Okay, fair enough. And on the last point for Orlando Pirates, Obina, as far as them now obviously having to try move forward with, I think at last count it was 11, if not more, injured players. What's the best that they can hope for? Or do you think that a team like Pirates has no excuse because they have the squad depth?
Look, I think there is no excuse for a team like Pirate. Looking at the financial depth they have, looking at the kind of quality they sign, I don't think they have any excuse on that. But yes, sometimes it's a problem because as a coach, having 40 players, 50 players, you cannot work with all of them at a certain time. You just have to choose specifically for specific games, and you have to have your first 11, second 11, you have to have people to move around here and there. But I believe if really they've been carried, they're carrying other players along, this is the right time to always, bring in those players they've been carrying along. I've worked with so many teams and so many coaches that sometimes when they just select their 11 or 18, they forget about other people. And this is the time where you want to call them and they're not ready. But if you train all of them and carry everybody along, every time you train, which is very, very difficult for a team like Pirate, because I know Pirate normally have, at every time has about 60 something players, in their structure. So it's difficult for a coach to work with all of them. But I know I think I know Fadlu. Anyhow, he will find a way to carry them along, but I don't think it's an excuse for a team like Pirate. I don't think so.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Now, this is a perfect opportunity for us to change the direction and focus on Chiefs, but not before I read some of your comments that are happening live on our YouTube. One coming from Zabantuli saying, guys, what about the biker? The man is a liability at Naturina, biker being Cardozo. And then Elton Kutso, who's been on the show with us here, says, remember what I said about Dolly last week, that he'll paralyze Pirates. So there we go. Some thoughts as far as how this team is coming along. Kelvin, are you in agreement with those assessments? Obviously, Dolly is a key man at the moment, but what do you make of how Daniel Cardozo kind of has this? Let's say the fans. He's not the first name on the team sheet for a lot of fans. So, do you make, those criticisms, do you think they're fair against him being a liability? And what are your thoughts on Dolly?
Yeah, first thing is my thoughts on Dolly. He had a beautiful game, and I spoke about it last week that a fit Dolly will always produce results. A player that comes with high quality in the game has proven now to us in terms of how he applies himself. As soon as he got fitter, we saw a Keegan Dolly that can have good combinations with the likes of Billiard, have good combination with Parker, making sure that they make use of the front three, making it to be fluid, finding spaces. One playing Dolly being the player that is tasked to be the number 10, who offers more creativity in the field. So for me, I think that's one of the players that has helped Chiefs a lot in terms of getting their confidence back, and also fashioning 3 points and fashioning wins with a very, very, very fit Dolly. Also, this is still his time where he's on the process of becoming a very, very, very good player for Kaizer Chiefs, because he's still adapting to the situation in terms of how things are done at Chiefs, his role that has been given. Now he's on the process on getting to maturity. Once we see a Keegan that is mature than that role, then we'll have Chiefs being a team that now sits on top of the log, or a team that will now start to contest because they have more firepower up front. With those three being in form, with the Billiard, Dolly, the Parker, or you have your Nokovic who's fitter, your Castro, you're going to start having the old CBD back at Naturena. And I'm surely with that understanding, they will get more goals. Then going to defense with Cardoso. My take was the coach has picked a player that he understood, that understand this game, the magnitude of it, and him placing him there was a role, or he wanted him to be the man that would be taking care of Kwame Pepra or Mutambo. So within that being addressed, I think a coach just needed them to give them that protection from Akbay and also in the middle. So neutralizing those players was one of the things that Cardoso maybe was tasked with on doing, knowing that Matoho will also do the man marking, but also having a Mavaliso and a Blom who have little experience on the derbies. But if you get those two center pairings starting, it means they will guide those youngsters, because they are a pair, a left pair and a right pair, which is the right pair is Matoho and Blom, a left pair will be Cardoso and Mavaliso. But Mavaliso played more as an offensive, meaning he's the one that was offering more attack, with Blom also not attacking as much, because we know that Blom, when Mavaliso joins the attack, the Njabulo will always be the one that will create the three at the back, because he plays more of a central role. So it shouldn't be a problem. So more or less, it's like you had three center backs in a way, because if Njabulo can occupy the middle space, it means it will be easier to actually to deal with it in front. So this is how they got out, and having a player like Nange, Nobo, and Cole Alexander to solidify the middle and make sure that they cut the passing lane and they offer that counter press to open up the counter play, which activated the Parker, the Billiards, the Dolly to be more efficient in their passage of play.
Okay. And I mean, if we're focusing on Chiefs, a lot of people look at Dolly and say he was the key man. In your mind, on the opposite side, who do you think from Pirates is kind of, leading the line for them in terms of just the performances and, is a leading light in the side to kind of drive them forward? Because, usually you point to the likes of Lorch, you point to the likes of Bule as the ones who are the driving force for Pirates. At this point in time, who do you think that would be?
I think I have two players in mind. One of which was I was not happy about his performance on the derby, even though he got substituted, which proves why I was not satisfied with it, which is Otto. But I think one of the players that has done very well, and I don't know why Fatu went with this. Well, maybe it's because of the match temperament and also wanting experience in a defensive balance, which he moved Mabaso from the middle to a right back, which is his old position. I think he has been doing far better when he was playing in the middle, because he offered cover to those two players that were always playing in front of him. So now moving him to the side, it showed on the weekend that they left him weak, because Macarena will always move up the field and his recovery rate was always low, which forced Monari to have a 2v1 on the middle, which is where the position that they exploited. That forces Nda to come and press higher, or Tyson also to press higher. Now it leaves gaps in between with the Marco that always want to attack as well. That was where the breaking point was, with Hoto's recovery, the recovery not being the greatest of one, which they went on a full blast attack on their side, knowing that Chiefs analyzing that the only player that is going to sit solid will be Mabaso, because it's not the one player that will always try and go forward, will always try and keep shape and balance. And when you're leaving a 3 versus 3 up front, which will have a Mabaso, a Tlajoayo, and Nda, it's difficult to deal with it when you have the likes of Kamabili at the Parker, you have the Keegan Dolly. That's why they could find spaces with the discipline of Marco pushing more up the field. So the player that I highlighted where Mabaso was playing in the middle was moving to the right. I think it was the one of the outstanding performers that he had. And also, I still don't get why he put Lamini outside. He never started Lamini in this game. Having a Mabaso also who's a striker, I would have actually wanted him to at least maybe give him a first half and then put Mtambo on the bench, because I think Mtambo is more good coming on as an impact player, not a player that will start the game. Even though, yes, he's scoring goals, but I think his game understanding is always more when he comes on from the bench.
Okay. Obina, your thoughts in terms of the main man at Orlando Pirates at this point in time?
Look, I think from my side, I think Makaringa did very well in terms of pushing the attack up front. Somehow, I think also I disagree with a bit with Calvin's analysis. Sometimes as a coach, you find the best way of breaking down a certain team and, just also to contain them. And I think with what Pirate did, they did whatever their game plan is, they did very well. They contained Chiefs, they played, they attacked. Let's first analyze the 2 goals that Chiefs scored. It's 2 goals from 2 errors, from the 2 center backs. So I don't think there is any way, whatever their game plan is has a flaw, or or maybe the individuals that were put in, you know, I just think they just need to find one way or the other to start getting winnings, you know. And looking at influential, Pirate is being a team that, yes, maybe at the time they will have one player that pushes, but Pirate has been a team that all their attacking players from the midfield are influential in terms of going forward, because they move the ball as quick as possible. They find spaces behind the defenders. You know, they put through passes. They had the chances of winning that game, you know. But then, you know, if football is like that, it's always like that. Chiefs had their chances. They took it, you know, they capitalized on the errors. And yeah, for me, it's the game of football. And this is one thing I've known, you know, also with Chiefs, they have been building the team ever since Tuibasa came in. They're not doing badly at all. You know, they build in this season also, and I believe they grinding out results where necessary, but not where they're supposed to be. But also, Pirate needs to start winning games. You know, this is where you get Sundowns far much better than these both teams, you know, making them an average teams. This is where Sundowns is far much better. They grind result, they pick result. They picked in 10 games now, they've won 9, you know, drew 1. So this is what you know about a big team. When you call yourself a big team, you win games regardless whatsoever. You need to win games, you know. But for me, on Pirate, I don't think there's there is a specific player I would say that is very, very influential in terms of them moving the ball or anything. But I still give it to Makaringe. I just love the way he moves attack, you know. And yeah, but I just know they still have something to offer, all of them, but I believe they will do well.
Okay, well, there you have it. Guys, remember, we're still going to be announcing the winners for the Babi Zebon Bazuzitiski giveaway. So that's 3 jerseys to 3 lucky winners. We're going to be announcing those in a little while, okay? But I just want to go to some of the messages. Remember, if you are watching the live show in the stream, you'll get details as to how to join us via Zoom in the chat section. So if you'd like to hop on and give us your thoughts, you're more than welcome to join us using that Zoom link. Sello Molelegi says, Brakamza, load shedding is dealing with me. I won't be able to join the Zoom today. That's someone who's been able to do it using those exact instructions. Let's go to some of your thoughts. This one's from Vuyopai. On Pirates, I see room for improvement, even though Shatwayo seemed to cost the team since his arrival. Chiefs still have a huge coaching problem and lack of stability in the middle of the park. Gogeto Miller reckons Tyson gave away the game. I think the Pirates badge is too heavy on him. We've given him a second and third chance, and at some point, we thought he came all right, but we guessed wrong. So, yeah, gentlemen, the defenders seemingly coming in for some stick there, and of course the spotlight falling on Tyson. So it'll be interesting to see how they, rejig their defensive offering. Pirates moving forward with more games to come. Let's move to the team that are sitting at the top of the table, and in a way, Calvin, I guess they've kind of reduced games like the Derby to just being more of a marketing bonanza as opposed to having any real material impact on the title race. Chiefs, yes, are above Pirates, but a whole 8 points behind Sundowns, who are unbeaten and have a game in hand. So all those things in consideration, what are we making of this behemoth, this titan that is Mamelodi Sundowns, and just how conclusively they win, and more impressively are able to keep clean sheets whilst doing it?
Yeah, I think Sundowns has given us an indication in terms of how they've planned for the past 7 years. The machine that they've been building for those years, now it's coming to fruition. And I don't think this should take us by surprise. We all were ready for this, and it's a matter of when actually now it will be at its peak, because Sundowns has developed a model whereby they started slower, and then they worked through the processes. Once the processes were in place, then they made sure that now the team reaches its maturity. Now we're looking at a Sundowns that is at a matured stage, which makes it difficult for other teams, because it doesn't matter who you change and who do you put in on your starting lineup. all those players now understand exactly what they're supposed to do. So them working in principle with the coaches that are there. I think finding a team that is so matured at this level, you would never know how to plan for them, because the game that they won 4-0 against Gallants, it was one of the game that when you sat back, you thought, hey, this is a team that has played, also has collected some CAF experience. At least they will know how to stop this train. But it seems as if the coach got the tactics wrong, in a way where you see a coach making subs in the first half, which spells that it was a tactical move. Maybe players not performing in the way or being more tactical sound in terms of how they need to stop Mamelodi Sundowns. But with Sundowns always having solutions in terms of how they want to play, their game is always ball position dominance. And them wanting to have more dominance in position, it gives them an edge to how to open up teams. Them wanting to always use the wider areas, as you saw when they started with two strikers. What did this two striker mean? It means that they knew that Marone Gallants would always sit at the back and play a low block. And then how do you unlock that? By having two strikers, because those two strikers will have to deal with the two center back. And then when those two strikers dealing with two center back, it allows the overloads on the side and the 1v1s, and then you always have that space on the wider areas. And you start now pushing players in the middle, and you're having the Tembas one, having the free space playing as a 10 to find those pocket space going into the box. So Sundowns truly have worked on the machine, and they've made Chiefs and Pirates to be like spectators. It seems as if like they should be playing a derby, then Pirates and Chiefs are supposed to be playing it.
Yeah, I mean, speaking to that, Obina, in terms of some of the new faces, obviously we've known how Peter Shalulile has started like a house on fire, but now you've got Neo Maema coming into the fold and showing his quality. And of course, Safranco, who some people aren't convinced about just yet. What do you make of the development of those two players?
Well, when I watched them, I think we're talking about Chiefs having firepower up front. I just believe with the likes of this Franco coming in, and that the young boy, is it Miami? What his
Miami,
name?
yeah.
Yeah, Miami. The boy, his quick interchanging of play, and the way he moves the ball. Look, I think we in for a run. Looking at is it Franco?
Franco,
The
yeah.
way the build he gave them up front there, the power he gave them up front, he gave them stability in terms of hanging on the ball up front. And while you have runners like Shalolile making the runs all the time, these guys up front, look, the way they play around with their team, gives you the mind to say that these guys, with their scouting and with the way they have their players in the team, I think every team in the country will be in for a run. If you're playing against Sundowns at the moment, I think it's just you just have to give it to them. The way they've built the team, the way the upfront has been running around with Zwane, feeding them with the ball, coming behind them. He has made these two players, even including Shalulile, very dangerous up front. So we just give it to them. They have firepower up front.
For sure. Kelvin, you convinced by Safranco? Some people say he's not Sundown's quality, but do you think it's a player growing more and more into his role and to the expectations that are being demanded of him?
Yeah, not fairly convinced. I think, but he's slowly gelling with the team. I think the coach is trying to slowly introduce him to the game. The guys that have been starting the game are starting to embrace him and unleashing his quality. So with some time, at least he's getting on a score sheet, which is positive for a strike. It builds confidence. Working around with players that at the highest quality with the Shaolile. If the Shaolile would be the one that would work as a donkey, Franco, what he has to do is just to know how to position himself in the box, which he has done that absolutely well. That's why he has scored. He has actually got goals on his side. So not much convinced, but I think with more game time and him adjusting to the level on how Sundowns want him to play, I think they are going to get some goals from him with the assistant of the speed that Sundowns uses. He's more of a tactical player who knows how to position himself in the box and who's a great finisher. So for me, it's still going to take a little bit of time, but within the processes that are being put there at Sundowns, it makes it easy for him. If it takes longer, remember, we still have the likes of Sereno out. So having the Serenos back in also, it also breeds a sign of confidence that any player that will be played in on that position will have to deliver. The only consistent player right now that we're seeing at Mamelodi Sundowns is Peter Shaulile and Mshishi. With those two, have made Sundowns to be a fine-tuned machine. And with the more and more of their beautiful performances that they've been putting and a great shift, I see no team trying to contest with Sundowns at this point because they haven't lost the game and they've won most of their games. So yeah, we can safely say working on the striking pair, it's still a tough competition because they're still trying to offer an opportunity to Sefranco. Motupa is still also on the window. His last play, the last game that he played, he had a beautiful. So each and every player that is there at Sundowns, it's an opportunity to oil them up so then they could be in line with the machine that Sundowns.
But I think on this aspect, Gift, Motupa, and Safranco are two different players up front. First of all, you look at the physique, of these two players. It gives you a different game, a different style of attack, when it comes to this. And I think that is what the coaches are looking at in terms of pairing them, trying to get the speed, trying to get the balance. Sometimes you cannot get three players up front just giving you speed all the time. You just need to have maybe one. And I think for me, that is what Safranco, like you said, and that is what gave him the goal, the one he scored, being at the in the box at that moment, So while Shalulile is just a player that will always walk, run around, go back, help, come front, and always running behind, on the blind side of the defenders. I think Safranco needs time for him to blend into the team and just to adjust very well.
Okay, so once again,
Sundowns,
yeah, Kel?
with Sundowns, there's not enough time. There's a lot of players.
I totally agree with you. I agree that.
Now, again, when you're making that comparison, my understanding, as I've explained before, was the reason why they went with Sefranco in this game. It was on the basis of Marumo Gallants will play a low block. And playing a low block, you're going to have two strikers. You can't play one striker with a team that is having a low block. So the choice that was made, I understand where you're coming from as a striker yourself in terms of the physical appearance and competing for the balls. That's true. But he needed somebody, the coach positioned them in a sense that he wants to have full attention on Sefranco, because if you leave him in the box, you'll always finish, which is the mistake that Mamelodi Gallants made. Shaulile, they know he's always going to run them ragged. It's going to run left and right, come face the balls deeper, go in the wider areas. But with Sefranco, you'll always want to use his physical presence in the box, which is where he profits more. So when you put on a Motupa is a player that will want to play on the half spaces, will create spaces for Shaulile to run behind if he drops deeper. So the characters are not the same, I understand, but this game was informed by a team that applied a low blow. Hence, I'm saying, yes, I agree with you, as I rightly pointed, so that he needs time, but there's no time again, because there's a whole lot of players that are waiting in line to grab the opportunity. So where is he going to get that time with players that are maturing each and every day? So it's up to him to catch up and be up to speed and follow the team.
Fair enough. My point was someone on the comments was saying teams in the DSTV Prem are giving Sundowns the edge by being too nervous when they go against Downs. They play to defend, which is pressure, and ultimately make mistakes. And then Downs capitalizes. So to that point, Obina, they've played this season. They've not conceded a single goal, sir. I mean, the
Um,
next best team is on 6 goals conceded. These guys are watertight. How, and I mean, if they can be stopped, how will it look like? How does a coach plan? Because in this game, you have coaches making changes in the 26th minute because they need to, kind of rethink their approach to the game. So how is a coach in future going to be able to stop the Sundowns machine?
I have the answer
I
later.
think, wait, hold on. I think when you have a team, that always plan, and I think most coaches are victim to this. Most coaches, and I think I'm not scared to tell you that I've approached a Premier League coach in this country once. When I was just understudying with him, let me not call name, and at the time I questioned his tactics, his training method every day. That I said, Coach, why do you always plan on team every day? Like when you're playing against Pirate today, you plan against Pirate. You're playing against Chiefs tomorrow, you plan against Chiefs. That time you used to plan, why not use it to modify and strengthen your tactics to force it on other teams? What Sundowns has created in South Africa at the moment is no coaches for me comes to attack Sundowns. No, every coaches that comes to play against Sundowns, I'm just seeing them. They sit back. They try to sit back. They try to play on a counter. Already, Sundowns forces team backwards, and these are true champions. This is something I think I believe with Mangoba what he has done right from when Piso was there, forcing teams on the back foot from the beginning of the game. And these come from the coaches. I don't think people might say the players, that's the quality. I'll tell you that most Chiefs has the quality. Pirate has the quality. But then when you have a coach that believes more in attacking, believes more in pushing team, putting them on the back foot from the beginning of the game, that's where you have chances upon chances upon chances upon chances. And look, but for me, I believe a team that can stop Sundowns at the moment is a team that doesn't have to plan against Sundowns. It's a team that has to strengthen their game plan and force their game plan on Sundowns. Regardless what your game plan is, you need to come from the first blast of the whistle, force your game plan upon Sundowns. Sundowns, they have a way of rotating their style of play, with their personnel. When they play Jali, Jali is a matured player that can move the ball around at every given time. They can bring in anyone at the moment, but for me, it's not about planning against individual. It is about forcing your own game plan upon Sundowns. That's the only way you can find something from them. But if you come to say no, they have people like Sherlile, let me try and defend, go deep, create a counter attack, or they have somebody like Jali, let's go on a fast break attack. These are where already you've created fear and panic on the team without even telling them. So these are the problems we have seen where most coaches has a problem in the Premier League at the moment. Take typical example, Sekokune. Sekokune forces their style of play in every team, and they come with results. They don't think, they don't fear, they don't do whatever, they don't plan against. For me, I didn't see any game plan from them. I don't see them playing again, but I see them forcing whatever they do, they force it upon every team. They come upon you, they come on a massive attack, they defend very well on a block. These are the only way for you to beat Sundowns, for you to force whatever style of play. If it's the style of play of Gavin, force it, do it very well. If it's a style of play of keeping the ball of Dan Malesela, keep it very well. But as much as you do it, force your game plan upon Sundowns. Don't go there to defend against their tactics or against individual.
There we go. Okay, Kelvin, since you were so eager, you can have the second last word. We have a comment here on how to beat Sundowns from one of the people watching on YouTube, but I'll get yours first and then I'll end off this discussion with their thoughts.
Yeah, I think there's one thing that Sundown does very well, which is a counter press on build up from teams. And I think the solution to that is teams having to make sure that they bypass the counter press. Do not try and rebuild from the back, knowing very well that Sundowns is good on a counter press. That's number one. Number two, Sundowns always play with a rest defense. Rest defense meaning they know where the ball is going to land and how they're going to press. Teams are not using the advantage that Sundowns will always have a back three. So they are likely to be on a counter-attack mode. So they can be counter-attack. But now the problem is teams do not try and exploit those spaces because Sundowns get overly stretched. When we played against Cape Town City, we saw that attitude by the Cape Town City players who made sure that they try and force Sundowns into an uncomfortable position. So in them wanting to have positional dominance, this is you now having not to sit on you can start on a middle low block, which is you trying to have them to keep more position on their unsensitive areas, which is from their build-up play. Let them build up, but while you are monitoring in terms of the people that are dropping into half spaces, trying to make sure that your structure is deformed, which will have the likes of Mshishi being used as a 10, having the Shaolile looking to go behind you. So if one player is not focused on the game and tries to and lose concentration on the game, this is when Sundowns will exploit, because their goals that they've been scoring is like walking goals. Why? It's because teams failing to stay as a unit and understanding that when you find a team that will have a counter press, it means that they're always vulnerable at the back. And with the three that they have at the back makes them not to be able to deal with it. They are scared, reason why they add more numbers up. So then you don't have an opportunity to look up and see that they are short up front. So what you should do is the application and the awareness of players of knowing that bypass the counter press. How do you bypass a counter press? Don't build more, 2, 3, 4 passes. It's not hoofing the ball, but it's having your strikers to stay with one of the central defenders, and you get your wingers to cheat, or you invert your wingers to stay more and have a 1v1 at the back, which will force now whoever start, whether it's Ria Petese or whether it's Onyango who will start, that he has to come out of his line and play as a number 5. So that's a solution that can be given to teams that they can go past Sundown.
Okay, somehow with Calvin, when you plan this way to say, okay, they play on a counter press, and a team, because now you're playing Sundowns, that is where I'm coming from as a coach, and that's the biggest mistake I've seen. That tactically, on tactics is creating tactical errors with coaches. You understand? Tactics is creating tactical errors with coaches. You have a team, maybe they cannot play from the back, they cannot build up from the back. Then they're playing against Sundowns. Then they have to hoof the ball. You just have to plan. You have to plan your team on forcing Sundowns, because you know you have to hoof the ball. Let's play on a second ball. If you have a team like Dan, who always tell their team to play out from the back, if they're good at it, then we play regardless the counter press. Because if I understand that Sundowns play counter press, and I myself build from the back, I need to find a way to still build from the back and still play. But my take here is that, listen, my take here,
it's not easy.
He says it's not easy.
It's not easy for you to. It's not easy for you to have a team that applies a counter press with speed. Reason being, when you have a Shaolile that is up front that will press you harder, you still build. There's teams that have made that mistake. Try to still.
I'll give you a typical example where my thoughts as a coach come from. I still remember the final, Manchester United against Barcelona. I think that was in Wembley. First 20 minutes, first 10 minutes, Man United was on Barcelona. They were on Barcelona. I think that is part of where changed my ideology as a coach. They were pressing Barcelona to start from the back. They were pressing. Barcelona was making mistake upon mistake, but still, when they get the ball, when Alves, the goalkeeper, when he gets the ball, he still starts from the back. Regardless the pressure from Rooney, from was it Ronaldo was there or not? From Son, you know, the pressure they created, but still Barcelona plays from the back. But one thing I'm trying to say here, is that you stick to your game plan. You have a game plan, what you've done in training every day and day and day. Stick to your game plan. They come, you have to find a way to still put your game plan in place. Force your game plan. Don't say because I'm playing against Shalolile now, then I have to hoof the ball or I have to play behind the counter press. Because knowing they're playing counter press, they're pushing players up front. The three defenders at the back, which it's two defenders, but Jali is playing a little bit deep because others were moving front, then has to sit and pick other players that are there. So if you plan in that way.
Obina,
yes.
point is, most teams do not have the quality to still enforce the building from the back. So if you want to get a heavy score, start building at the back with Sundowns, then you'll see. Hence I say,
okay,
Sundowns
you don't build from the back. You don't build from the back. They score you.
Let me finish my point.
Okay.
My point is, when you're having a counter press from Sundowns, Sundowns will make sure that they put much pressure. When you are going to bypass the press, they have a rest defense, meaning they know on a counter press which side they need to press, where the ball is going to be likely to be hooked up. So when you are being overloaded in your own zone, which is what Sundowns does, they play on top of opposition's half, on the opposition's half. Meaning what? Is because they want to quickly press the ball so that they can restart and have the ball position dominance, which is why Sundowns will always have an opening, the biggest passing lanes, and they'll always find Shaolile Zwane. Zwane, you find in this game where they play Gallants, Zwane was being marked by Ngema. He followed him the whole game, but he had more touches on the ball still having the man. Now you ask yourself, how is that possible?
Let's not go much deeper. We're going to talk more about this one day when a team will stand against Sundowns, not even hoofing the ball or anything, but forces their own game plan upon Sundowns team. That is when I could tell you, maybe because we sit in here, we can analyze, we can talk, but really I'm telling you from facts to understand this is the way. The only way for you to beat Sundowns at the moment is for you to impose your own game upon Sundowns. If you want to play on a second ball, start from the beginning and force them, keep them on the back foot. That's the only way. But if you say you want to allow them to play, you will defend the whole game. You will defend the whole 90 minutes.
You will not, because the field is divided into zones, and Sundowns uses those zones very well. Meaning, Sundowns don't really apply high press all the time. It's impossible. You can't do that all the time.
All of us, we understand.
Let me finish my point. I'll come back. Now, when that happens, you're trying to have an understanding that Sundowns want to know who are the weakest players. They give them a confidence to start, but then now starting, what purpose do you have? You come into a Sundowns and you're playing with a one-man striker, which means already, that's why they'll have an opportunity where they want to push more, they want to push Jali more into the middle. Why? Is to give them that stability. When those three retain position, they can always start. Meaning when teams are trying to press, it's highly impossible because there's always an overload, which in most of the game where they'll try and create something like a similar rondo, where they want to put two players in the middle and knock the ball around and try to build up and go to the next phase of attack. The team that has tried to do this in the final was Cape Town City, which I felt that they've done it pretty well. It was something that was intention. They played it with more intention. Why? Because they have the quality of players to possess and keep
No,
position.
no, I disagree with you on that. I disagree with you.
Okay, guys.
Because this is the
same. We're gonna agree to disagree. I think you both have made some good points. But yeah, let's agree to disagree. The only option to break Sundowns is attack. Golden Arrows and Cape Town City have those elements, and for me, are the only teams in the DSTV that can make it happen. That's from Vuyo, and that's a well pointed out point, because the times they have conceded Sundowns, it has been mostly in the cup games. In the league, they haven't conceded a goal, but that also goes to show you to the mentality of the team. They understand the stakes, and then sometimes they have to go for it in cup games, and that might leave you a bit more open at the back. Maths and Science Coaching says Chiefs scored 2 goals against Sundowns and MTN8. Arrows and Cape Town City scored a goal against Downs. They all resulted in a draw. This shows Sundowns can concede or can be beaten. I guess, yeah, in that way, that if it was, maybe over 2 legs or in a cup situation, they tend to be a bit leakier, but the results tends to be the same in the end. They find their victory. Okay, so yeah, big ups to Mamelodi Sundowns, just heaping more misery on Maruma Gallants as they try, obviously, to maintain their place in the top flight. Let's move on to another result that came through this weekend. This one was between Royal AM and Baroka. In the end, the game did end 1-1, but there was something a bit bizarre in this one. Kelvin, I don't know if you saw it, Obina, you too, where both teams almost kind of, were trying to play for time in a sense, almost trying to run down the clock, which is strange because the one team had a player more than the other. And that's, of course, Baroka, at one stage where Royal AM were a man down. And yeah, I mean, that struck me as a bit strange. Usually you see, or it's very hard, we hear that to beat 10 men, but you usually see the team with 11 try push for the result. Kelvin, what was happening here that both teams, it seemed, were trying to, be okay with the draw?
One of the dangerous things is when you play a team that is a man short, because they will always give an extra effort for the player that they're missing. And another thing, I think this was a tactical situation from the coach, not wanting to lose. Maybe a draw was going to be a true reflection of the game, knowing that they failed to score. So the best thing to take home was a point. Playing away from home is always a good result if you get a draw rather than a lose, because you can always regroup and understand in terms of where you went wrong. How were the tactics being applied, with both teams having an end-to-end first half, which is both teams look like they wanted to score a goal to keep the match alive, but that didn't happen. But at the end of the day, as you saw it towards the end of the game, I think that was game management on both teams, maybe being affected in terms of fitness, or they just wanted to maybe rest a little bit more and not want to push themselves or overexert themselves, which is something that when it's been done by a coach, some people will feel like, why did they do that? But if they make their calculation, it's good for Royal AM not maybe lose 2 games in a row, or being on a good run that they've been getting points. So they will fashion that it's good to have a point than to lose all 3 points. So for me, I think with coaches, they both calculated it. Also the players starting to feel that, okay, they've ran down the clock. It's about 3 minutes or 4 minutes left on the clock. Why try and push? Because if you push, you're going to make a mistake. As much as these guys are one man short, it means it gives us more advantage in maintaining position. So then if they do attack, they are one man short. So if we are fashioning a draw, it's easy for Baroka to get a draw because they're having a one man short. Because if you'll have an operation whereby you're playing ball position, it's going to be hard for Royal AM to try and press or try to dispossess the ball, because there will always be that extra man. Not them trying to score, because if they do that, then they leave the gates open at the back, and then they might sneak a late goal, which is we have seen with Royal AM. They are good on scoring on last minute. Hence, the caution was they just have to delay the game.
Hello? I was still there.
I think Kamza is lost.
There we go. There we go. Comes us back.
Okay.
Obina,
Yeah.
I was saying that's not in the spirit of the game. As a coach, you're a man up. There's still another whole half of football to be played. Surely there has to be a level of aggression. I get it. You're playing against a team that are unbeaten in the last 8. You are the team, on the road. Maybe are just thinking to shut up shop and walk away with a point. But as a coach, is that really the mandate in a game like this when you're a man up and have a whole 45 minutes to try find a winning goal?
Firstly, I think when I saw the running order and about this game, I was really impressed because honestly, I watched that game with anger. I'll have a way of questioning who's the coach of Baroka. And sincerely, I'll tell you the reason. First of all, let me read the statistics first. You have a team that had a red card at the first half, late first half,
44
and
minutes,
played the remaining second half, the remaining 45 minutes with 10 men. And now you have the Royal AM have 17 shots, while Baroka have 11 shots. Shot on target 6 on Royal AM and Baroka 3. Ball possession 62% on a team that has 10 men, while 38% on a team that has 11. Passes 46, 461 to 219. Pass accuracy 77% to 62%. But let me go to also corner kicks. Corner kicks, which shows pressure on a team. A team that has red card has 6, while a team that has it has 4. Firstly, what I understand is that as a coach, when you have red card, when a team has red card, now you have to make the numerical superiority count. Really, you have to make it count. And how do you make it count? You have to make it count by moving the ball from point A to point B, moving the ball from the sideways, middle, patiently looking for the openings. You need to look for the openings. There must be movement up front. But here I see.
What do you? I think Kelvin's fixing up to disagree with you.
Kelvin, can I finish, please? I've played football to understand. Yes, you can say whatever. 10 against 11, a 10 man is stronger.
Oh, my boy, let
What
me
is it?
give you my point. Can you allow me to squeeze this one in? Is it possible?
Squeeze it in. Squeeze it in.
Okay, I'm saying my understanding is you are playing against a team that is sitting number 4, right? And you know that they are dangerous. We are sitting number 12. What do you do?
Okay.
Even if there's a red card, this team is still dangerous.
With the red card. With the red card.
Yeah.
Wait, Sosibo, hold on first. Hold on. With a red card, I'm a PSL, I'm a Premier League team, and I'm playing against a team
away from home, and I'm struggling to score. What do I then do?
Struggling. That is what I'm not understanding. What is away from home? What is struggling to score? Sundowns has been playing away from home. Teams have been winning. Sekokuna have been playing away from home. Guys, the issue here, listen. Look, okay, fine. Let's put it this way. Let me just put it my way. Let it be my way this time.
Okay, your way. Yes.
What I'm saying, my way is you need to keep the ball. You need to have possession of the ball, regardless whichever team you play. Once they are 10 men, they cannot press you all the time.
But that's not what we saw.
The only way for you to push them, but if you keep on hovering the ball, giving them time, giving them chances of them getting the ball, not supporting men, then I think, look, the game was, honestly, it was a disaster, not from Royal AM, but from Baroka. Understand? From Baroka. I was seeing the chances, even this boy, George, the chances he would have converted. A team with 10 men. I mean, look, I'm not taking anything away from Baroka, but honestly, that performance that day wasn't a Premier League performance from a team that is in the Premier League. It wasn't. You understand?
Right.
So, and the for me, if you talk about quality, who signs the quality? The coach, the team.
Yes, but now this is my argument. When you look at the ball position, this should tell you a lot in terms of how this game panned out. 62 versus 38.
Okay, now let's talk about the ball position here.
The highest quality was with Royal AM. Baroka came into this game, and you could tell that they were fashioning a draw. They were not going to win.
No, Sosibo, you're not getting the point here. You're not getting my point at all.
Yeah,
I'm saying, look, the point is, I'm 11 men. I train these guys every day. I'm playing against a 10 men. Regardless if it ended on 0-0, but the 10 men still kept possession of the ball. Where is my numerical superiority? Where do the players press? Like, then I don't think there's any coach there. How do they press? How do they cover the spaces? For you to allow 10 men, a team that you have numerical superiority against, to keep possession, to play football out from all the 3 zones of the field. Come on, man.
Obina, yes, okay, let me come on now. Obina, in the game.
Oh, sorry, guys. I'm just going to go make more popcorn. I'll be right back. Go ahead,
Obina. In the game, Obina, you know, one day in training, we always used to play 10v9. And thought at that time, we'll always say, the team that is 9 men down, they are leading, right? Or the team that is 11 men, they are the ones who are leading. How many times when I was on your team, when we were losing, the team that is 11 will come back and wait, I know where you're going. Now, that happened a lot of times, whereby we will come back and then they will swap the teams around and then revert back into 11v11, which is, I'm trying to say, me and you, we understand this. It's always difficult to play a one-man short. And whether you keep position or not, because remember, a team that is short will always have the discipline.
Sosibo, I've played, what I'm saying here, Sosibo, I've played 10 against 11 as a player. But what I don't understand today as a coach, at the level of information we have as coaches, is to say that 10 men, I cannot keep possession. Like 11, I have a team that is playing against 10 men. That will have, I'm not saying for me to beat them. I'm not talking about the score here. I'm saying we looked about the ball possession. Where do I make my numerical superiority counts? Is to close them down. Regardless, let them be the one to defend and counter press. I remember when I was in Benoni, we were leading 1-0 when we got a red card. Then we had to sit back, play on a counter. I understand that. But what I'm saying now, if you're playing 10 men, let it be the 10 men to sit back. Let it not be you 11 to sit back. Because it's not Glad Africa playing against Premier League here. This is Premier League, and we are talking about 2 same average Premier League team. Forget about the position that differentiates them. This is 2 Baroka and Royal AM are 2 middle table team. You understand? Yeah. So it shows me that what I'm crying here is Baroka do not have a coach. Quote me right, they don't have, because the team could not even put passes together.
Okay. Well,
they don't even know the zones to
guys, I mean, in terms of the Baroka not having a coach, it's always kind of been brought into the spotlight. And maybe in moments like this where, you know, his credentials are brought into question and maybe he was shown up at the weekend. Vili Limnyandu has just joined us. Vili, there's not much time left because I'm getting load shedded soon, but welcome. Welcome to the Monday night edition of Monday Night Football. Your thoughts on this discussion here? 10 men of Royal AM out possessing, in this instance, for this example, out possessing the team that had 11 men. Does that make sense to you? Or Baroka maybe too conservative in their approach in that second half, considering they had that advantage?
Well, yes, Kamza, can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, sir. Welcome.
Okay, yeah. Good evening, guys. Good to see the King of Lagos is also here.
That's not you, Calvin, just in case you were wondering.
Sosman, yes. Kamza, well, I was not really surprised to see that, you know. I don't know, like you were saying, how many times we've been talking about the situation at Baroka. And just maybe to put it into proper context. You see, this is one of the reasons I was not happy that a boy like Mahupa is returning there, you know, this season. And a player going to the Olympics, doing well at the Olympics, you can see him in the national team. The next level that he needs is an environment where he's going to be properly coached. You know what I mean? Now,
yeah, for sure.
Yesterday I counted and I tweeted about this. 1 minute, 14 or 15 seconds.
Yeah.
The goalkeeper is just, against 10 men.
He's time wasting.
That's when they should be taking the ball and exploiting the space.
Exactly.
But these people, they've traveled. They're getting a point. That's all. Really. At this level.
Not good enough.
But that's not good. And that's why sometimes when you say these things, it's like you're targeting people. But that's why we need now. Mahopa comes from that environment. He goes to Bafana now, and then he must be ready now to make sure that Bafana qualifies to the next stage of the World Cup qualifiers. And after that, he returns to that environment. You know what I mean?
No way.
Yes. And not just him. It same goes for Richard Mbodo. Richard Mbodo will this week play against Cameroon. Players of high class, and then he comes back. He goes to a certain environment. So that's why the issue sometimes is not just about talent only. And I think you can see with what Sundowns is also doing. Some boys who've just arrived there. And they're playing differently from us. They were playing differently at their clubs. Attribute that what? Coaching.
Coaching.
Coaching. So I blame this on the technical team, because there is no properly constituted technical team that will allow a goalkeeper to waste close to a minute and a half when they've got a 1 minute advantage.
Calvin, you've gone very quiet.
Honestly,
No, I jumped off the bus.
Oh, you jumped off the bus. So what are you in agreement at least with this point that the gentlemen are making, or you're not?
I'm in agreement with the time wasting, but again, getting a point from a team that has been on a good run is not a bad thing.
Even though you're
10 men.
Let me help Sosibo here.
Help him out.
I'll be on Sosibo's board to say maybe a bad coach tries to get a point against a good coach. Maybe we'll put it that way. Maybe.
I'm off the bus. Yeah. I left you with something to discuss, so you got my point.
No, you fell off the bus and you rolled down the cliff instead of just staying on the bus and being safe, Sosibo. Instead of staying on the bus and being safe. Gents, just a quick roundup of the other results before I am cut off as far as electricity is concerned. Amazulu winning 2-0 against Cape Town City. Chipa and Maritzburg playing out to a 0-0 draw. The same for Stellies and Golden Arrows. Stellies, of course, still maintaining their unbeaten record. And Swallows going a goal down to Skikune. Belile, of those results, which one of those stands out to you the most looking back at this weekend, and of course in terms of the bigger picture?
Yeah, well, look, I'm concerned with my home team at Chipa United. I'm concerned. I think just like Swallows, they've also now gone 9 matches without a win, which is not a good
omen.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it doesn't bode well for them.
So yes. But if I am to compare Chipa United to Swallows. I think for me, the problems are more at Swallows because one of the reasons Chippa is in this type of a situation, and I have said this even to the chairman before to say, last season, I don't believe that they had, Chippa used to have talent. And for you to have, to understand that talent, you would see how Pirates would not go even 6 months without going to Chippa and get a player, even though we know that the relationship between the clubs, they will change a lot. But now, when you look at the current, the composition of the Chippa squad, which player do you think Pirates would be interested in taking this current Chippa team? This for me is the bigger problem. But when it comes to Swallows has got some of the best talent at junior international level that we've had, that they've taken from Sundowns. They've got players they've taken from Chiefs, players they've taken from Pirates. But that team is just not coming together. And now you get to a situation where you don't know when they are going to turn things around, because when Swallows goes to a game, it can either be a draw or a loss, because like yesterday we had resigned to see a Swallows team that's playing a draw, and because also they are playing against a team that's always on the lookout for how can I put this? Some giant killing acts,
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Because this Skokune team, it will always go for you. You must go to their game against the Cape Town City, and how they managed to catch Cape Town City in the game they played there. So I think even when they lost to Pirates had to come back from 1-0 down to beat Skokune. So I think for me, if you are to ask me about one game, in fact, one team I'm really concerned about coming from this weekend, it's Swallows, because this downward spiral doesn't seem to have any end.
Okay. Well, that brings us nicely to reflect now on this international break. Of course, Bafana Bafana have 2 games that they have to play. Thursday is against Zim, and then come Sunday they have their game against Ghana. They win that game against Ghana, then they are through pretty much. Obviously, the Zimbabwe game might help us to that end because it comes first. In terms of those 2 games, I'm going to give both Kelvin and Obina a chance to just, pick one of the 2 that you think are the ones that Bafana Bafana are going to have an easier time in. And then Velile, you'll also kind of just give us your thoughts on how the rest of this qualification is going to pan out. I know you're very close as far as proximity to the camp and, always reporting on them. So let's start with you, Kelvin. Over these next 2 games, how do you think it's going to pan out? Do you think South Africa is going to get the job done? Are we going to the World Cup come Sunday?
Yeah, I think for me, I trust Bafana to get 3 points from Zimbabwe, which is they have not been having a good run in this tournament, in this qualifiers. So I fashion that South Africa will get the 3 points from there, which will give them a confidence booster moving to the Ghana game, which I think is going to be a tight game. But with the squad composition that the coaches assemble, which has more speed, I think something also there on that side. The worst score should be a draw for me, but a win, I see a win also there. But losing to Ghana, I don't see us losing to Ghana. So a draw or a win. That's the worst is a draw.
Right.
Win
Okay, Obina, I stand corrected. Of course, there is another round after this. But as far as these next 2 games, what do you think is going to happen? Having looked at what Bafana have been doing under Coach Hugo Bruce, and also just, kind of taking into consideration the form of both Zim and Ghana coming into these last 2 of this Group G.
Look, I've not been a fan of Bafana for so long, because of their performance. But now, honestly, under this coach, the impression that they have to qualify has been there. It's all over written with their performances, regardless. But against Zimbabwe, I don't think I don't think it's questionable to have for them not to have 3 points, But the take will be against Ghana, which I believe with the kind of team he has, which if they have to play on a speed against Ghana, they will lose that game. For me, against Ghana, they have to be more conservative, keep possession more or less, try to move the ball, play on the sides, but the coach has his own game plan. That is why he selected the kind of players he selected. And I'm being impressed with the way he's been selecting his players. Sometimes he doesn't select on names. He goes, he watches, he brings players regardless whatsoever. So I just believe the team will do well against Zimbabwe. But Ghana, it will be dicey a bit. But let them just win Zimbabwe, then we talk about Ghana.
First things first. Velile, your thoughts in terms of how these next 2 games are going to pan out? And I mean, are there players that you're excited to see start for Hugo Broos and what he can perhaps bring out of them?
Yes, I think if you looked at the presser today, there's a saying, it's close to they're really milking, they're milking the cow. Dolly comes back to the national team, first time he's already on the main table. When things are, and maybe hoping also, whatever is happening, but whatever is doing at Chiefs, can he bring it to the national team? So, but also, I think for me, the return of Dolly and Tau to the national team. Obviously, Tau has been there before. It was just the issue of him settling at Ali. But these are 2 players who've played together at the highest level and won the Champions League together. So them returning, and they're both on form for their clubs. I think it's a very good thing for Bafana at this stage. And also when you look at the brand of football that this team plays, and I mean, when the team was announcing the squad on SABC, we were there with him. You must hear how he described the selection of Pulemodi. Now, Pulemodi, for context, is a player who's only playing in his 2nd season at the highest level. But the pace that he's got and the technical abilities that he's got, because, I've been saying this even to some of the players that I'm close to, that I know, maybe we're not sure about. I said, the fact that the coach has picked you to be in the prelim squad and then picked you to be in his final squad. This is a new coach who's giving no one favors, comes from outside. It means he's impressed with you and knows what he's looking for. And when you look at his selections, mostly they're also about pace. I'm here with the technical experts. They will tell you when it comes to the transitional moments, you've lost the ball, you go back. That's what he was saying about Pulemodi. He says Pulemodi, he likes him because he's a player, even without the ball, he comes back, quickly close down, and they get the ball. And if Pulemodi, he's all about pace. So I think that's what makes things interesting. With all due respect to our neighbors, Zimbabwe, I think that we are hungry enough to get 3 points at home at FNP Stadium. And also remember, this is also FIFA, where we use goal difference and goals too, with Ghana, wow, we've never beaten Ghana in the qualifiers. I think the last time we beat Ghana, it was during the AFCON, in an official game in Ghana, in Kumasi. I think it was I can't remember, it was the AFCON quarterfinal, but in that game I think Bele and Sean Bartlett scored, but that was then. In the previous qualifiers they beat us 2-0 in Cape Coast, but that will also depend. What is important is that we must be a point ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
We must be a point ahead when we go to Cape Coast.
To Ghana. Yeah.
Yes,
There we go.
exactly.
Simple as that.
And also,
Simple as that.
exactly. And also, we must know that to qualify, we don't need to beat Ghana.
There we go. We can just
Ghana
do
needs
it
to-
on Thursday.
Ghana needs to beat us.
Yes.
And
There we
for
go.
a team that needs to beat us, and our strength being the pace, that looks like some good football to play.
That will be an open game. Yeah.
Yes.
Open game. I like the sound of that.
Yes.
Great. Okay, before we close this game, I just need to announce those 3 winners for the Babize Bonke competition. And so here they are. It was a very simple premise. All you had to do was go check out at Babize Bonke Zere on Twitter, follow them, take a photo of it, tag them and tag us, and then your name would be put into a hat for a draw. So here are this week's 3 last winners. We start with Kaya Mhlongo at Kaya M8. Congratulations, Kaya. You are our first winner. And our second winner is Tiriso at Booty_T. There we go. You have won yourself the jersey of your favorite team. Can I make out from your profile who that is? No, I cannot. So anyone's guess is as good as mine. And then our last winner is Elton Malati. He's at Elton Kuto 3, a friend of the show's, a viewer who's always tuned in every week. So congratulations, Elton, Tereso, and Kaya. Congratulations to you. Your prizes will be in the mail, your favorite jersey from your favorite local team. That's it, guys. We're done for this week. Out of time, about 3 minutes before the lights are switched off for me. I hope that's not the case for you. And of course, if you haven't been able to tune in because of load shedding, tell your friends that, of course, we turn this around and they'll be able to check it out at a later time. I'd like to thank my panel, Calvin Sosibo. I didn't, make you do the drum roll this week. Yeah, we got some bad reviews on that one. The tender is finished. Mr. Obina, thank you so much for joining us for the first time. We hope to have you back. I love the robust conversation. Calvin, you thought Greg was gone and that was going to be the end of it. We got you another uppity Nigerian to join the show. So there's no way of getting away from it. Obina is going to be back for you to have to deal with.
I've got the firepower. My tender is back.
So
We'll
Obina
see.
is
We'll see.
so Obina is also on his way to a certain bench around.
Yeah.
Oh, is he? Oh, is he? Oh, is he? Which bench?
Mm.
Oh, well, let's hope we get him
Obina.
on here before he has too much
No
time.
comment. No comment.
In journalism, no
no.
comment is a comment enough. Eh?
There we go. And with this smoke, there's fire. And then, of course, Veli Lemnyandu, thank you so much for joining us to help end the show on a high. Gentlemen, thank you. Have a good night. To everybody who's been tuned in, thank you to you too, Fidel behind the scenes for pulling the strings. And of course, remember to subscribe and set up your notifications for all